Today we're going to look at section 11.5, which is going to be our first introduction to factoring trinomials. All right, now to start this off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at some examples of what we have done in these past sections here. So I'm going to multiply x plus 2 times x plus 5. It's just going to help to kind of demonstrate some things for when we get into actually factoring trinomials here. So this I'm just going to use distributive. So x times x is x squared, x times 5 plus 5x, 2 times x plus 2x, and 2 times 5 plus 10. We have like terms here in the middle. So x squared plus 7x plus 10. Let's fix that 0. There we go. Okay. Our next one is x minus 3 times x minus 8. So note that I did change the signs there. Previously I had 2 plus signs, now I had 2 minus signs. That was intentional. It's going to help show us something here. So I'll do the box method on this one, x minus 3 and x minus 8. All right, xx is x squared, x times negative 3, negative 3x, x times negative 8, negative 8x, and negative 8 times negative 3 is a positive 24. All right, so here we get x squared minus 8x minus 3x plus 24. Again, we have like terms here. Negative 8x, negative 3x, so x squared minus 11x plus 24. All right, our last example here that we're going to look at is x plus 4 times x minus 7. So now we have two opposite signs. All right, so we'll distribute here. X times x is x squared. X times negative 7 minus 7x. 4 times x plus 4x, and 4 times negative 7, negative 28. Again, combine our like terms. X squared, negative 7, plus 4 is negative 3x minus 28. Okay, so again, that's a review. We've done that before, but that's going to help us take a look at what we're going to do next year. All right, so now what we're going to be looking at is factoring trinomials. All right, the first trinomial we want to factor is x squared plus 8x plus 15. Okay. Now, we know at this point now that factoring is like undoing multiplication. Okay, so when we just factored out that single term, we were undoing multiplying that term by everything. All right, so now undoing multiplication here, so I just multiplied these three sets of binomials together to get those trinomials. Well, now I'm going to undo that. I'm going to go in the opposite direction. So I want to go from having this trinomial right here, x squared plus 8x plus 15, to having two binomials. Now, our first example helps to show us what our signs are going to look like here. Because note in our first example, x plus 2 times x plus 5, that when we finished our trinomial, we had a plus and a plus. So now if I'm going to go the opposite way, that same thing's going to hold true. If I have a plus and a plus here in my trinomial, plus 8x and plus 15, then my signs in my two binomials will also both be plus. All right, now in the front here, all right, I need two things that multiply for x squared. Well, most of these are going to be pretty easy in this case because this is just x times x. Okay, now in the back, I need two things that are going to multiply to give me that 15. but they also have to combine to give me 8x. So multiply to 15 and combine for 8. In this case, add to be 8. Sometimes we'll see that it's actually subtract. All right, well, for 15, the only two things that multiply to give us 15, we either have 1 and 15, or we have 3 and 1. So it could be 1 times 15, or 3 times 5. Okay, those are our two options there. Well, if I look at those, the only one that I can combine also to get 8 is the 3 and the 5. So 3 and 5. Okay, and we can always check ourselves, right? We can redistribute this to see. Well, x times x is x squared, right, plus 5x plus 3x plus 15. Sure enough, x squared plus 8x plus 15. So there is our factored form of x squared plus 8x plus 15. Okay, our next example we're going to look at here is x squared minus 6x plus 8. Okay, so now we are looking back at this example here, okay, where our two binomials had two minus signs, and then in our trinomial, when they were multiplied, I had a minus first and a plus second. So that tells me here that this, when I factor this into my two binomials, okay, that I'm going to have two minus signs. All right, now we're going to do this one by using our box method, but in reverse. Okay, so I know these pieces here are both going to be negative. That's where my minus signs come from. Okay, now my x squared term, that piece goes there. All right, my 8, that goes here. Okay, now again, I want two things that multiply to 8, but combine to 6. So we have 8 times 1 is 8, or 4 times 2. Well, 8 and 1, okay, I can't combine those anyway to get 6. Like 8 plus 1 is 9, 8 minus 1 is 7, so that doesn't work. But 4 plus 2 is 6, so I'm going to have a 4 and a 2 here, right, which would give me 4x and 2x, which means this is my x and this is my x. So my two binomials, we have x minus 4 and x minus 2. All right, and again, we can check this. X times x is x squared, minus 2x, minus 4x, plus 8. Combine your like terms, x squared minus 6x plus 8. All right, now our last example that we're going to look at. All right, our final example here is x squared plus 2x minus 15. I didn't need that parenthesis at the front, so get rid of that. Okay, so here, now this is our only example where our second sign there, okay, the sign in front of the 15, the second one is a minus sign. In each of my first two examples, they were both plus, which made the signs in my two binomials when I factored the same. Here, since that second sign is minus, that's going to make the sign in my two binomials opposite. So 1 plus and 1 minus. And now it doesn't matter which order they go in. I could have put the minus 1 first and the plus second. Okay, but it is going to then affect which numbers go in which place. All right, so in the front, I still want two things that multiply for x squared. Well, that's still x and x. All right, and in the back, I want two things that multiply to negative 15 and then combine for 2. And in this case, positive 2. Well, for 15, we'd only have 3 times 5 and 15 times 1. All right, well, obviously the only two set of those I could combine in any way to get 2 is 3 and 5. All right, now 3 plus 5 is 8, but 5 minus 3 is 2. So then it's a matter of deciding, okay, where does each number go? Does the 5 go with the positive here? And the 2 with the, or the 3 rather, with the negative? Or is it the other way? That the 3 goes with the positive and the 5 goes with the negative. Now, here we have kind of what we call a process of guess and check. So we would guess which one goes where. So let's say it's this situation here. Then we would check. So this is x squared plus 3x minus 5x minus 15. So our first term and our last term are fine, okay? But I have positive 3x minus 5x. Well, positive 3 minus 5 is a negative 2. So that does not give me what I want on my middle term there. So instead of having this version, let's try x plus 5 and x minus 3. All right, so now this gives me x squared minus 3x plus 5x minus 15. Now I combine my like terms, x squared, negative 3 plus 5, or 5 minus 3, there's my plus 2x minus 15. All right, so there is my correct answer right there. All right, and as you do more of these, you'll be able to see, easier be able to see off the bat which one you need to go with there. Right? You'll be able to kind of recognize early that it's not the x plus 3 times x minus 5, but instead it needs to be the x plus 5 times x minus 3. But on a lot of these here, what it is going to come down to is guessing and checking. Guessing at what those factored terms are going to be there, and checking yourself to see if that is correct.